Morning, guys. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together, so happy and grateful to have you along. We're on day 130 of that journey, and today's message is forgiveness. Boy, oh boy, that's a big one. This is how we keep the weight off. Forgiveness and apology. Those are the release valves of the tension, of the pressure, of the guilt and the shame, of those things, of the heavy things that we carry. Okay, so forgiveness is very important, and it's they say forgiveness is for you. Okay, because you're relieving the weight from it. I'm forgiving him. You're probably never going to forget. Okay, but the forgiveness is just letting it go. Letting it go. How many times have we had to let stuff go in our lives already just to move forward and stay out of the garbage of drama? Let it go. So be it. So it is. Whatever. Those are the words we use in the practice of letting go in normal society these days. Okay, it goes like this: forgiveness. When we all begin to understand the truth that we are all part of the same spiritual source, and that we all possess an ego that can keep us asleep to the fact that our true identity is that spirit, and that spirit alone, we will understand that we must practice forgiveness in every interaction of our day, including ourselves in the process, forgiving ourselves. Man alive, how many times have we fallen short? It's part of the human journey. Mistakes are a part of the human journey. Okay, but when we hold on to those mistakes, like when we feel so bad for them because somebody else makes us feel bad for them, and we hold on to that mistake and we can't get over the feeling of having made that mistake, and it keeps us low and down and constricted because of somebody else's opinion. It's like, listen, correct the mistake and move the heck on. Correct. We have the power of self-correction, and that's it. And it's always like what everybody else thinks. It's, what do you think? It's your journey. You want to rise, you take those steps, you be willing to make those mistakes, have to be willing to look stupid in the beginning, because we all do in the beginning of something new. We are all vulnerable in that space. It's a very vulnerable space when we begin something new. Even beginning this podcast, I just like, okay, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. Okay. And I hope that it's bringing you some peace, some peace of mind, some new ways forward, and, helping you to forgive yourself and all of that stuff, because we are the spirit that has the ability to do all of this stuff, to let stuff go and to bring in new things in our lives that are actually prosperous for us. They prosper us. They prosper our lives because we prosper ourselves, and we defeat ourselves in so many ways. So when we become the captain of our ship and realize that we are the spirit that can change anything and roll with change, including rolling with change. That's a big one too, right? Because change is all there is here. So we have to be willing to roll with the changes. As REO Speedwagon once said, okay, it means that every time we are struck with a negative interaction with someone, we must recognize that they are unconscious in that moment, and they are acting from their lower ego self. Well, that's what we all do. We kind of, it's our default setting, is our defense mechanisms. Those defense mechanisms that we learn to create throughout this human journey, rather than just knowing, what are we defending? Are we defending our ego? Are we defending our soul? What are we defending here? So most of the time it's just other people's stuff, other people's unconscious behavior. And we have to recognize that. And in that we can show grace. We can show grace. And we're not being insulted by it if we really know who we are, because you're insulting the character that I play, and clearly I know there's lots of human flaws in this character, right? But all of those things, those are our journey. That's for us to take up, take on, and grow from. All right. Other people may point the way sometimes, and sometimes it's in an ugly way, but it doesn't mean that you just dispel the information. Sometimes some of our highest information and messages can come in an ugly wrapper. They come in an ugly wrapper so many times, but you hear the message, okay, and you grow. Suck it up and you grow. Okay, don't be afraid to do that. See, it's in taking on all the insults and keeping those insults stuck in here as this pot of soup you carry around all the time is not good. It's not good. We have to learn to forgive, forget, move on. And we don't have to continue to interact. We don't have to do that, but we can learn from these negative interactions and our positive interactions. They're both teachers for us. And we get to sharpen our higher tools in every one of them. Every one of them is the universe saying, okay, what are you going to do in this situation? What are you going to do in this situation? And I go, all right, well, what would light do in this situation? Because that's who I really am. What would that do? What would that do? Well, that's the space you give in between your conditioned ego defense mechanisms or reactions and a truthful response, truthful to who you really are, truthful to that spirit, recognizing that we all suffer. We all have that bowl of soup in us somewhere, and we can understand that. And when we understand that, we seek to understand rather than to just leap back forward and judge or fire with fire kind of crap. Well, then we've really taken up the mantle of who we really are. Okay, we're given that space, and you bring the best to that moment, and that best is just going to get better once you start practicing that. And you become a more peaceful person. You become the carrier of that peace. You become a lighthouse for it, a lighthouse for that peace. And so you can show others the way just by your example, because what I found is people don't necessarily ask you that kind of stuff. They look for themselves because they want to do this kind of searching themselves, this soul searching themselves. It's a very personal thing. It's very personal. So I understand that myself. Mine is we each have a very personal journey. As much as we have a journey collectively, each of us has a personal journey and a personal mission to work on ourselves and to bring more light into this house and release what no longer belongs in that house. Okay. It seems that every time we are struck with negative interaction with someone, we must recognize that they can be unconscious in that moment and they're acting from their ego self. We also need and want forgiveness ourselves when we unconsciously do the same to someone else. We want forgiveness when we fall off the bus, don't we? Sure we do. And we feel bad for it. And, that's why apology is so important, such a character builder. Not over apologize. You're not, starting your sentences with, I'm sorry, but no. Just truth. You cross the line somewhere, you know it. So take account for it. It's in taking account for these little things along the way that we build a good character, because not taking account for them, there's no character there. There's none. You don't have the integrity. Your words and your actions don't match. Your words and your actions need to match in order to embody integrity. Those promises that you make, the ego makes empty promises all the time. Ego makes promises it can never keep, just to keep the facade up or just to keep people controlled. Yuck. No more manipulation. None of that. And you got to stop manipulating yourself with your own ego. And that's the best way to roll. Free from the dramas that we create ourselves. Free from the dramas that we choose to be in just because it's the same old place that we've always been in. It's just, this is what we've done. This is what we're going to continue to do. You're not that being. That's just the human way. You're more than human. You're a human being. You're a being of light that's animating that human. And you've been crushed down like grapes from a negative society. And when you remember who you really are, boom, you can start living life as it was intended, not in, victimhood. The worst way to live, considering yourself a victim. Worst way, because it's just not the truth. You're the light. You're a light bearer, and you can pull yourself up, out, and forward, because we've allowed ourselves to pull ourselves down many, many times. We have that same power to pull ourselves up and leave that shit behind. Leave it behind. Okay, and live anew, live a true. All right, forgiveness is the act of letting go of an insult or seeming offense by another. By forgiving is actually freeing you. It allows your mind and your body to stay free of the negative energy. It kicks it out. You're not holding on to the drama of that. And you can carry that around for days, weeks, years, days, weeks, years, your life, those grudges, and they're just so heavy, and you still keep them in there for your own ego entertainment to feed that pain body. You're just feeding off of that negativity. Ugh, it just brings you down. It's an energy killer. It's a life killer, really. It's a relationship killer, all of that stuff. So flowing free and being in your best for yourself, that just extends outward. You become a ripple of the good stuff, and you've made that decision to do that. That's a great decision, and consistency will be your key to just feeling great most of the time, as much as you can. And people don't think that's a possibility, but it's something that we give to ourselves. It's something that we have the power to give to ourselves, and of course to others. It just emanates outward as your natural expression from that point. Okay? When we become aware that we are both spirit and ego while we are here on earth, we must first forgive ourselves for the old mental baggage we've been thinking about and carrying most of our lives. Only then can we effectively let it all go. We are all connected at the same in our truest form. We are all connected and the same in our truest form, and we are all here to learn different lessons. Similar, yet uniquely different, just for us. There's the lessons we learn are just for us. So learn them, learn and grow. That's what we do, learn and grow. And knowing the truth in all of that to who we really are, when we take on that task more readily, we can allow the universe to work through us, as us. That's when you say, Jesus, take the wheel. Use me for the purposes of light. Use me for the purposes of spreading light. Because that's what house do you want to live in while you're here? House of light and victory and great relationships and bringing heaven to earth in your own little ways, that you've seen in your own family. People will do that. Grandmothers are the greatest at that. They just do it for the sake of bringing that light, And so, and mothers, it's their natural thing. Nurturing. Well, the universe is nurturing. It is like the ultimate divine of between male and female energies. It has both in there. So it can know everybody individually, and it brings forth into us that which we need to grow. And so take it on and just say yes. I know it's uncomfortable, but when you just get into it in that short spurt of that beginning phase of it, you go, all right, now I see where I didn't see before. Okay. And that takes the answer called yes. And let me tell you something. No is another very important word in the human journey. No is very important as well. Being able to say no is being able to be a great person who just has some boundaries for saying, no thanks. Not no thanks. This is the way I'm moving. This is the way I'm doing it. And much love to you and your thing and the things that you love to do. That's your thing. But I have this thing that I want to do, and great. It's pulling me. So I say yes to being pulled by it. And I don't know where that takes me. It's like the great journey. The unknown is, everybody's so afraid of the unknown. And believe me, I know that feeling. I know it. But when you look to it as saying, God is for you, well, then oars in the boat. Let it pull you. And you'll know what to do in that journey. You'll know what to do. Your talents will come out there. Your gifts will come out there. And even though there's going to be some times where they're just coming out, so you're like, oh, these are new talents. Well, they're not new. They're just rusty. They've been in there forever. And you're just re-recognizing them. All right? Pull them out. They will do you justice. They will do you justice, my friends. All right? If we get this one right, the world will completely change, and to the one I think we all want to live in. Okay? So today, unburden yourself and those around you from the heavy baggage. Well, remember, it is not just about us individually. It's about us as a whole, in us bringing our individual light to the center of the table for all of us, like knights of the round table of light. Okay, you're a knight of that round table. CTA, call or text that person who is waiting for some forgiveness or for an apology from you. Change your life right now and open up. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind open with this one courageous action, and then begin to use it as your daily tool of what? Daily tool of freedom. Freedom. Freedom is freedom from knowing that you're just a human, because you're not just a human. You have so much more in there. You're so much bigger than just human. Okay, because the human can just play victim. The human can feel like a victim and act like that their whole life and never know who they really are. And that's why we see so much mental illness and depression and all of that, because everybody's trying to find their way home while we're here. So I'm just pointing you in the direction that turns right around into the mirror, right into the mirror. We're here to work on that. And that's the best gift we can give to those around us, is working on ourselves. It really is. And so be that gift, because it's for yourself, but it just gives to everybody else as a result. All right. So loving yourself is giving yourself those lessons, the answers to your own questions. They're in there. So sit with it, sit with God, get to know that relationship, widen it, open your heart to it, say yes, move away from things that don't serve that yesness. And you'll see, you'll be on a new journey for yourself. And it is unquestionably the best way that you will go, even though your ego will want to pull you back into comfort. It'll want to pull you back into the old comfortable Groundhog Day. All right, same old lines, same old promises, same old stuff. Ay, ay, ay. No, life can be renewed every single day with your attitude, your mindset, and controlling that mindset of your own through the power of your spirit. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Much love and light, and we shall see you tomorrow. Have a great day.